Rome, 73 BCE. Beneath the marble splendor of Rome, far from the Senate halls and golden villas, another world seethed. Chains rattled, whips cracked, and in the Gladiator school of Capua, blood was not spilled for war, but for entertainment. Among the condemned was a Thracian man named Spartacus, once a soldier, now a slave. But in his eyes burned something Rome had forgotten: freedom. "You think you own me," he whispered one night, staring at the moon behind iron bars. "But I was never yours to chain." He was forced to fight day after day in blood-soaked sand, to kneel to entertain, but Spartacus watched, waited, learned. Among his fellow slaves were men of fire: Gauls, Germans, Greeks, each broken in body, not yet in soul. One by one they gathered in secret. And then came the moment. A shipment of kitchen knives seized by trembling hands. In the dark of night, 80 gladiators burst from their cells. Steel clashed, guards fell. Fire erupted across Capua. Rome did not yet understand, but a storm had begun. Vesuvius. The mountain rebellion. The rebels fled to Mount Vesuvius, thinking it sanctuary. Rome laughed. What threat were barefoot slaves? 2 praetors were sent to crush them. Legions climbed the mountain, blocking escape. They thought they had trapped beasts in a cage. But Spartacus was no beast, he was a tactician. Using vines and rope, his men climbed down the steep side of the volcano, an impossible descent. Then, like lightning, they struck the Roman rear. The legions scattered in panic. Discipline collapsed. A praetor fell beneath rebel blades. Rome was stunned. "This is no mob," one senator said. "This is war, and war it became." Forging an army, 72 BCE, Spartacus did not hide. He moved fast and fierce across Campania, Apulia, Lucania. Every village liberated brought more to his cause: slaves, shepherds, deserters. His numbers swelled from hundreds to tens of thousands. He trained them not as rebels, but as soldiers. Formations, discipline, signal horns. He revived the old ways of the Thracians, merged them with Roman precision. Weapons were forged from stolen iron, shields carved from oak. Wolves were painted on banners. "We do not fight for revenge," Spartacus told them. "We fight to never bow again." But cracks began to show. His second in command, Crixus, a towering Gaul, hungered for Rome's blood, not escape. "Let us march north and burn it," he said. Spartacus hesitated. His dream was not conquest, but freedom. He wanted to cross the Alps, scatter his people to safety. But ambition among the rebels stirred like wildfire. Rome's heart was exposed, and Crixus wanted to strike it. Responds, 72 BCE. Humiliated by defeats, the Senate took action. They sent consuls, each commanding legions, to intercept Spartacus. They split their forces, hoping to trap the rebels in a pincer, but Spartacus saw the trap before it closed. He struck first, smashing one consul's army with speed and brutality, then turned and crushed the second before word could reach Rome. It was not just victory, it was annihilation. Crixus, however, broke away with 30,000 men, eager for his own glory. It was a fatal mistake. The death of Crixus. The Romans, under General Lucius Gellius, ambushed Crixus near Mount Garganus. The Gauls fought like lions, but they were outnumbered, exposed, and alone. Crixus died with sword in hand. When Spartacus learned of it, he did not weep. He marched his army to the site and held games of his own. 300 Roman prisoners were forced to fight to the death, an offering to Crixus. "Rome taught us blood," Spartacus declared. "Let them taste their lesson." But even in vengeance, doubt lingered. The Alps were still open, freedom still possible. Yet Spartacus turned back, not to flee, but to fight. Turning south, 71 BCE. Spartacus had a choice: freedom across the Alps or war in Italy. But freedom for himself was never enough. He turned south. Why? Some say he sought ships in Brundisium to ferry his people to safety. Others believe he saw what Rome truly was and wanted to see it bleed. What is certain is this: Spartacus marched not as a fugitive, but as a general. He defeated legions sent by Rome again and again. Towns fell, roads burned. Roman pride shattered. The Senate, humiliated, turned to one last man, a banker's son, a man with no noble blood but a blade-sharp mind, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus takes command. Crassus was no fool. He knew Spartacus was not a savage, but a master of movement and morale. So Crassus chose fear as his ally. He reinstated the ancient punishment of decimation. 1 in every 10 soldiers executed when a unit failed. Discipline returned by terror. Then he built a wall. A literal wall, spanning the entire width of southern Italy. Trenches, ramparts, stakes. He meant to trap Spartacus like a wolf in a cage. Spartacus tried to break through. He failed. But he would not die behind Roman stones. The last breakout, Spartacus's forces, starving and restless, prepared for one final move. In a moonless night, they gathered timber and bodies of fallen comrades, set them aflame, and launched a full assault. Part of his army broke through, but not all. Spartacus refused to flee. He turned back. "If I leave, they die," he told his captains. "If I stay, we die together." He rallied his warriors for one final campaign. No retreat, no surrender, just war. The Battle of the Silarus River, 71 BCE. On the banks of the Silarus, 2 storms collided. Crassus with 8 legions, organized, armored, ready. Spartacus with tens of thousands, wounded, hungry, but unbroken. Before the battle, Spartacus found a Roman horse. He slaughtered it in front of his men. "If we win, I'll take a Roman's horse. If we lose, I won't need one." Then he led the charge himself, sword in both hands, roaring. The field became a graveyard. Spartacus carved a path through the lines, searching for Crassus. He reached the heart of the Roman command, was wounded in the leg, then in the side. But he did not fall. He kept fighting, until he vanished beneath a tide of blades. His body was never found. Aftermath, shadows remain. The rebellion died that day. 6,000 survivors were captured. Crassus lined the Appian Way, 120 miles, with crucified rebels. A warning written in flesh, cheered. But not all was glory. Crassus expected a hero's welcome. Instead, the Senate gave half the credit to a rising general, one who arrived late to the war but not to history, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, Pompey. Crassus seethed. Rome had no room for 2 saviors, and so the seeds of civil war were sown. The Gas, the unbroken flame. Spartacus did not win, but he changed Rome. No slave forgot his name. No senator slept soundly. In the years that followed, rebellion stirred again and again. Gladiators became symbols. The chains no longer silent. Historians argued, was he a liberator or a threat? They called him a slave, one Roman poet would write. But he rose like a king, and in every whisper of revolt across the provinces, in every crack of a whip, the name lived on. Spartacus, blood and sand, and the fire that Rome could never truly extinguish. To be continued in Episode 5, The Rise of Julius. From republic to tyrant. From rebellion in the sands to ambition in the Senate, the next chapter follows the man who would destroy the republic from within. Subscribe and witness the rise of the most feared name in Roman history.